Hello, thank you for joining me again for a yoga class, or if this is your first time, welcome. My name is Alayna. Today we will be doing an all levels basic kind of flow that's really designed to be accessible to anyone. I will offer some modifications and guidance too, if like depending on where you are in your practice, but then also kind of depending where you are coming to today with your body. So let's get your mat out and get started. So whenever you're ready, we're going to come to our mat in our easy seated pose, our cross-legged Sukhasana pose here. It looks like Pope is joining us again today for a yoga practice. And if this is uncomfortable to sit here, feel free to maybe like keep your legs out a little bit, and you're gonna feel your hip bones really sink into your mat. And that's kind of the sensation that we're looking for here. An area of kind of sustainability and just where you're gonna be comfortable for the next few moments as we connect with our breathing to begin our practice. So you can bring your hands to your knees. Maybe your palms are up to receive energy, or palms down to feel a grounded comfort. And then we're going to gently lean our shoulders back to stack our shoulders over our hips to really create that long spine. And then gently tuck your chin towards your heart. This is going to lengthen the back of your neck here. You're not like tilting your head all the way down. You're just kind of tucking it in. It still should be easy to breathe. Let's exhale wherever you are and inhale together through our nose and exhale through our mouth. Really long and drawn out together again through our nose and exhale through our mouth. One more time together, in through our nose. Sucking in a little bit more air at the top of that inhale. And exhale through our mouth, long and drawn out. We're going to go ahead and seal our lips here, but continue those long and drawn out inhales and exhales through our nose, really imagining, envisioning that air coming in through your nose, down your throat, filling up your lungs, filling up your core space. And then you're pushing that air all back out on the exhale, making room for that new fresh air. Because our breath is what guides us through this practice. So you'll hear from me to cue inhales and exhales. And if you're not at that same inhale with me, that's okay. It's just a reminder to continue breathing, where we're not holding our breath. Just allowing that space to focus on our breath, because our mind can often wander. We'll often think about things we need to do later, maybe feeling guilty about doing this for ourselves right now. And just challenging those thoughts by focusing on our breath and really allowing ourselves to be present here in this moment and shifting that guilt into gratitude, feeling thankful for the opportunity, for a body that allows us to move. Now we're not using this space to get away or to separate, but it's a moment of reflection and intention. On your next inhale, let's go ahead and squeeze our shoulders up to our ears. And then on the exhale, send those shoulders back and down, really engaging the shoulder blades here. Really allowing those shoulders to drop away from our ears. And then on our next exhale, you're relaxing your shoulders. You're not holding tension there. Continuing our breath here. Let's go ahead and bring our arms out next to us. And inhale our arms up towards the sky. Our gaze follows, palms face each other. Then on the exhale, let's send that right arm down to the mat. And that left arm comes up and over. And you're really lengthening the side of your body here. This is the focus. So we're not crunching, trying to reach, towards the floor, but instead you're just lengthening and stretching open that left side. You're keeping that left hip on the mat. Maybe your gaze is up at your elbow or your fingers. Then on your next inhale, coming back up to center, both hands follow. Exhale, bring that left hand down to the mat. Same thing on this side, keeping that right hip down on the mat as your gaze is up. If you're practicing at home with animals, you know the struggle. And I'm just letting it happen in hopes that this offers some entertainment for you all. Inhaling, arms back up, through center. And then exhale, folding forward. So you're curling your back here and really reaching your fingertips forward. You're keeping your hips on the mat though. So if you start to roll forward, just kind of walk your hands back. Maybe you're able to rest your elbows. And you're really feeling the back of your heart open up. Your shoulder blades kind of just opening up here in your back. Letting your head hang. Still breathing. And on your inhale, go ahead and walk your hands back towards your hips. And let's switch the cross of our legs, bringing that opposite foot on top, because we always choose one over the other. Oftentimes it's maybe the hand that you write with. Bringing our fingertips out next to us again. Inhaling those arms up towards the sky, palms face each other. Exhale, right arm down to the mat again, left side open up. Maybe try to send that left knee closer down to the mat as well as you pull that left arm up and over, so you can have this counter stretch here, this like opposite pulling. And then inhale back to center, right arm follows. Exhale, left arm down to the mat, gazes up at that right arm. Pressing that knee down, that right knee down, that right hip down. Inhaling back up to center. Exhale, forward fold. Bringing your hands down onto the mat or the ground in front of you. You're going to feel the difference in your hips here. Maybe you're not able to go as deep with the opposite leg in front, or maybe because you have a cat in front of you. Maybe walk those fingertips a little bit more forward. Maybe resting your elbows. Keeping those hips pressed into the mat. And then on your inhale, begin walking your hands back, up. And then let's roll onto our knees for our tabletop. So we have our knees directly underneath our hips, and our shoulders are stacked over our wrists. We have wide fingers, and the tops of your feet are resting on the mat. And here we'll go through our cat-cow flow, warming up our spine. Inhaling our head and our tailbone up, pressing through our shoulders here. Exhale, curling the spine, gaze between the knees. Still again, pressing through the shoulders. Inhaling up into our cow. Exhale, curling the spine for our cat. Let's continue at your own pace. Just following your inhales, long and drawn out here. Really allowing our breath to guide us. Maybe it feels good to add natural movement here as well. Maybe to like shift into your hips or roll around your wrist gently. Just kind of seeing what feels good here. Maybe one more round. After that last cat, we're going to come back into our neutral spine, bringing our big toes to touch. You're going to send your hips back for a child's pose. You can widen your knees as much as feels good to you. Typically, you're able to maybe bring your chest closer to the mat with those wide knees. And here we are in our child's pose. So this is our resting pose. Whenever we need a break, mentally or physically, in our practice, this is where we can come to. This is also where we can do a body scan here. Maybe noticing the parts in us that need more attention. Maybe that need to be mindful, to be gentle in our poses. And this is also where we can set our intention for our practice. Maybe it's to be present in the moment. Maybe it's to show love, give love, receive love, gratitude. It could be a word or a phrase, just something that can guide you through your practice today and follow you through these poses. It's important to listen to our bodies. I will give suggestions for modifications. But if something doesn't feel right, you know your body best. There's no reason to do it, or don't go as deep into it, or take a break. You have all the options. You are in control of your practice. I'm merely offering suggestions. Whenever you're ready, you can engage your fingers, pressing them into the mat as you lift yourself up back into our tabletop, tucking our toes under, sending our hips up and back for our first down dog. So in down dog, we're really pressing through our fingers here to protect our wrists. Really pressing through the shoulders as well, so we're not like dumping down. This gets really tiring. So you're really engaging your shoulders, pressing them up. Engaging your core here as you try to send your heels towards the mat. It may feel good to warm up your hamstrings by pedaling out your feet, walking our dog. As you straighten the knees, send your chest towards your thighs and your hips up towards the sky. And on your next inhale, you're looking between your hands as you walk forward, coming into our forward fold. Maybe keeping a slight bend in our knees here, kind of protect our low back. And your feet are underneath your hips. So there's a few inches between your big toes. You're letting your head dangle. Maybe it feels good to grab your opposite elbows. Really releasing the tension in your jaw. Inhaling here. And on your exhale, releasing the tension in your brow. Engaging your core as you feel your body just hang over the bottom half of your body. Then on your next inhale, you can release your hands. Exhaling here. Inhale, palms to shins, flat back. Your gaze is still down at the ground. Exhale, release. Inhale, bending the knees, slowly rolling up one vertebrae at a time, coming into our Tadasana, our mountain pose. You still have that space between your toes. As you keep your tailbone tucked, so your tailbone is pointing down towards the ground as your hips come forward. Still a slight bend in your knees to not lock your knees, engaging your core here, but then tucking in those ribs as you create that straight spine. So exhale wherever you are. Inhale, arms up towards the sky. Exhale, cactus your elbows, slight back bend. So you're lifting with your chest here, but keeping that tailbone tucked. Your exhale, and then inhale your arms back up to sky. And then on our exhale, you're sitting your hips back into our chair pose. And so for chair, you can have the space between your toes, or maybe it feels good to bring your toes together. Your knees don't come past your toes, so you should still be able to see your toes. And you're just sitting your hips back, but you're lifting with your chest here. Let's also tuck in our tailbone, pointing it down towards the ground. And you probably can feel your thighs lighting up here. You bring your hands to heart center. So inhale, twist towards the right. Exhale, back to center, sitting a little bit deeper. Inhale here, exhale, twist to the left. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, release, forward fold. Hands come towards the mat. Maybe it feels good to wiggle your hips a little bit here. Bend the knees. On your next inhale, palms to shins, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, slowly roll up. Meeting back into our mountain pose. Hands out wide beside us. Inhale through our nose. Exhale through our mouth. Inhale, hands up towards the sky. Exhale, cactus the elbows, lifting the chest. Inhale, arms back up. Exhale, sitting back in our chair. So thinking about our alignment still here. Maybe it feels a little bit easier this time, a little familiar. Really drawing those shoulders up and back while we tuck in our tailbone. Inhale your hands to heart center. Exhale, twist to the right. Inhale, arm back to center. Exhale, twist towards the left. Pulling that left hip back as it wants to come forward. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, release, forward fold. This is our little flow for today, so we're going to move through this 2 more times. Wiggling out those knees. Inhale, palms to shins, flat back. Halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, bending the knees, slowly rolling up, coming into our mountain pose. Inhale here through our nose. Exhale through our mouth. Really feeling our shoulders drop there on that exhale. Inhale, hands up towards the sky. Exhale, cactus the elbows, lifting with the chest. Inhale, arms back up. Exhale, sit back into our chair. So really drawing the shoulders back as we keep that tailbone tucked and our core engaged. You might find it easier to squeeze your thighs together, or maybe you want to try shifting your knees apart, but you still keep that integrity in your knees here. You're still having to engage them. Sitting a little bit deeper, lifting with your chest. Hands come to the heart. Exhale, twisting to the right. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, twisting towards the left. Sitting a little bit deeper. Inhale, coming back to center. Exhale, forward fold. Thighs might be talking to you at this time. Really bending those knees, wiggling out those hips a little bit. Inhaling, palms to shins, flat back, halfway lift. Exhale, release. Inhale, bending the knees, rolling up into our mountain pose. Inhale through our nose here. Exhale through our mouth. Last one. Inhale, hands up towards the sky. Exhale, cactus the elbows, lifting the chest, really opening up the heart here. Inhale, hands back up to the sky. Exhale, sitting back in your chair. Choosing whatever variation of your knees that you'd like. Sitting as far back as it feels good. Really lifting with the chest here. Bring our hands to heart center. Twisting towards the right. Maybe it feels good to hook that left elbow on the outside of the right knee, but pulling that left knee back as it kind of wants to come forward. Taking a couple breaths here, and this a little bit deeper of a twist. Inhaling back up to center. Maybe sitting a little bit lower. Maybe drawing our shoulders up a little bit higher. Exhale, twisting to the left. Hooking that right elbow on the outside of the left knee. But keeping those hips in alignment, those knees in alignment. Taking one more breath here. And inhaling back to center. Sitting a little bit deeper, drawing those shoulders up, keeping that tailbone tucked. Exhale, release, forward fold. Woo. Really wiggling it out here. Bending the knees, inhaling slowly, coming up, back into our mountain pose. Inhale through our nose here. Exhale through our mouth. Now we'll work on our balance pose. We're going to do tree today. There's a lot of options for tree. If it feels good to use a wall or something stable for balance, please do so. So standing in our mountain pose here, let's go ahead and root down through our left foot. So let's pick up all our toes off the mat and send one toe down at a time, starting with our pinky toe, really gripping the mat or the earth beneath you. Bringing your hands to your hips. Let's send that right foot out, pointing the toes, and then bringing it around. So you're really feeling your leg here open up and rotate to prepare for this rotation, opening up the hip. And then finding your tree. So you can come here, just a little bit of kickstand so your toes of your right foot are still on the mat. Or maybe it feels good to pick it up off the mat here, so you're really feeling that strength through that left leg. And then you can begin moving it up your leg, if that's available to you. Skipping the knee, as you don't want to press into your knee. And just finding where your tree is today. And then finding your focal point, your drishti, something that's not moving. And that really offers that stability. And so is engaging your core here. You're drawing your shoulders back. It's okay if you come out of it. It's okay if you wobble a little bit. Just want to gently come back into it, if that's available. Maybe you're wanting to grow your branches. Really reaching those arms wide, drawing those shoulders back. Feeling strong and expansive here in our tree. Feeling good about taking up space. Feeling confident. Being proud of ourselves wherever we are in our tree pose. And then you can begin bringing your palms back together in our heart center. Bringing that right knee forward, kicking that heel out. Exhale, right meets the left. Wiggle it out. And then let's move to the right side. So picking up the right toes here, bringing our hands to our hips for a little bit more stability. Picking up all of our toes and then sending them down one at a time. Really grip the earth beneath us. Inhaling, pointing our left toes forward. Rotating our hip out at 90 degrees. Pointing the toes side beside us. And then drawing that hip forward if it's wanting to turn. And then finding where your tree pose is. And you may notice it's different on this side. That's okay. Skipping the knee. Bringing your hands to heart center. Again, using that sturdy space, that wall or chair. Maybe you're able to draw that left knee a little bit more in a line with your hip. Using that focal point. Maybe your focal point's your third eye. Maybe you're able to close your eyes here. It's a pretty big balance challenge. And then growing your branches. Allowing yourself to take up that space, because this is your space. You own it, you can claim it, you're worthy of it. Continuing our breath here. We're not holding our breath in our balance poses. And bringing our hands back towards our heart space if they're not already there. Bringing that left knee forward, kicking that foot out. Exhale, left meets the right. Wiggle it out here a bit. And then let's send our hands up towards the sky. Swan dive, wide arms, forward fold. Hands come down to the mat. Let's go ahead and bend our knees, planting our hands, stepping our feet back into our down dog here. Our hamstrings are warmed up quite a bit now. So maybe this pose feels different to you here, but maybe it still feels good to pedal out your feet. And then you're going to bring your knees to the mat. You're going to shift your shoulders over your wrists as we slowly lower ourselves, bending our elbows, making sure nothing's underneath us, as we lower our body down onto the mat. We're going to come up into a cobra here. So keeping our palms underneath our shoulders, our legs are zipped up, and the tops of our feet are on a mat. We're going to inhale our chest up. And you're not using your hands here, so maybe you're able to lift your hands off the mat, squeezing those elbows into your ribs. Exhale, release, left cheek to mat. Let's inhale back to center. Exhale here as we prepare for our cobra again. Inhale, lifting with our chest. Hands come up off the mat. Maybe you're able to lift a little bit higher for this slight back bend here. Exhale, right cheek comes to the mat. Really allowing yourself to feel grounded here. Really feeling connected with our mat. Maybe it feels good to bring your arms down next to you, tops of your hands resting on your mat here. Then on your inhale, you're going to bring your chin back to center. Then let's bring our hands back underneath us as we walk our elbows underneath our shoulders. So the tops of our, or the palms of our hands are flat on the mat, fingers are spread wide. But now you're propped up on your elbows here for our Sphinx pose. You're really lifting with your chest here. If this feels uncomfortable to you on your low back, you can come back into a cobra, or maybe cross your arms here for a crocodile. You can rest your hands on your wrist. If this feels good here in this back bend, maybe it feels good to bend that right knee, bringing that heel towards your hips. Maybe it feels good to point your toes as you draw that heel towards your hip. And then let's switch the legs, bringing it back down, and then bending the left foot, or the opposite foot. You're still pressing through your shoulders here. So we're not sinking down, really engaging our shoulders here, bending that knee. This is fine. Then exhale, putting that foot back down onto the mat. Lowering your chest back down towards your mat as well. Placing your hands underneath your shoulders. Press yourself back up into our tabletop. Then you're going to bring your knees underneath your hips here as you tuck your toes under and send your hips back. So this is our toe stretch here. So as you can see, I have my toes curled under, and your hips are sitting back on your heels. If at any point this becomes too much, you can just lift yourself up off your heels and you're going to feel that release here. This is a really good stretch for plantar fasciitis or any type of feet pain that you may have. Shoes that we wear typically aren't great for our feet. And so this can be a really beneficial stretch here. Now let's go ahead and interlace the fingers, sending those palms away from you. Really pressing your palms away. Maybe it feels good to bring them behind your head, drawing your elbows towards each other, opening up our heart space and our shoulders here. Taking a couple more breaths. And exhale to release, bringing our hands down to the mat. Maybe it feels good to tap out the tops of your feet or roll your ankles, really stretching them back out. Then bringing the tops of your feet to the mat as you send your hips back again on your heels. This may be a little bit easier this time. And you can stay here, really lifting with your chest. Or maybe it feels good to bring your palms behind you, fingertips facing your toes as you lift your chest here. Your gaze is up at the sky. Or maybe it feels good to lift your knees up as well, bending your elbows. And so now you're stretching out the tops of your feet here. And then coming back down, if you lift it up, slowly stacking your shoulders back over your hips here. And then let's go ahead and separate our knees wide for a child's pose. Really sinking our heart towards our mat here as we're pressing our hands into the mat, sending our hips backwards. Taking a few more breaths here. Then inhaling, coming back up onto our knees. And let's swing our legs out, coming onto our sits bones. And so we're actually going to come into our staff pose here. So our legs are long out in front of us. Your shoulders are stacked over your hips, and your hands are down on the mat next to your hips. So you're really lengthening through your spine here. This is a pretty active pose. Your feet are flexed, toes pointing towards the sky. Now let's inhale our arms up towards the sky, bringing those biceps by our ears. Let's exhale, hinging at the hips here. So we still have that flat back. You're not going to come nearly as forward with that flat back, drawing those shoulders back. Inhaling here, lengthening through our arms. Exhale, maybe you're able to send your heart a little bit closer down towards your legs. And then on your next exhale, you're bringing your hands down towards your shins, your ankles, or your feet as you come into your forward fold. Feel free to bend your knees here. That's going to alleviate any type of tension you feel in your low back. That's not where we want the stretch here. There should never be any pain. And maybe as you sink into this pose, you're able to straighten your legs, but that's just an option. You don't have to. Maybe it feels good to hang your head. Or maybe you're able to bend your elbows, pulling yourself closer towards your legs. Taking a few more breaths here. And slowly releasing your hands, walking them back up onto your legs. And let's bring the right foot into our thigh here. So you're bending the right knee. So you bring the left foot out. Trying to bring kind of that left leg out directly alongside your hip here. And that right knee is kind of more forward. And you're going to place your hand maybe on the inside of your left knee, your left shin, and you're opening up, drawing that right shoulder back. And then you're going to bring that right arm up and out. So really, again, stretching the right side of the body here. Keeping that foot flexed. Maybe it feels good to bend the elbow. And draw that left shoulder closer towards your mat. Maybe it feels good to tuck that left hand underneath your shin. Kind of use it as that counter pull. And you're kind of reaching your fingertips towards your toes. Maybe you're able to grab your toes. Maybe you're just imagining you're grabbing your toes in that space between. You're still drawing that right shoulder up and back. Really feeling this intense stretch on the right side of our body, coming out of it if you need to. Just taking a few more breaths here. And slowly releasing that left hand, drawing yourself back up, releasing the right hand down to the mat. And let's switch legs. So now you're bringing that left foot in towards your right thigh. Flexing that those right toes. Bringing that right hand down onto the mat on the inside of your knee or your shin. And then bringing that left hand up and over. And again, you may notice a difference on your sides. We're typically more open on one side than the other. Drawing that left shoulder back though, so keeping them open and square. We're not curling over. Maybe tucking that right hand underneath your shins as you pull those fingertips towards your toes. Maybe trying to send that left knee towards the mat as you feel that side opening here. Pressing that hand towards that space between your toes. And slowly releasing your right hand, coming back up through center, releasing the left hand onto the mat. Let's bring the bottoms of your feet to touch here, coming into our bound angle, butterfly, cobbler's pose, lots of words to describe this. I always use butterfly because I did dance as a kid. You're holding onto your ankles, and you'll realize it's more intense the closer you bring your heels towards your hips. So maybe it feels good to you to send them out a little bit. And it's okay if your knees don't touch the ground, as you may notice mine don't. And you're drawing your chest forward to really lengthen and straighten that spine here. Then on our exhale, bring our elbows towards our knees as you're gently pressing them down towards the mat as you hinge at the hips. Inhaling here. And on our exhale, releasing your hands down onto the mat in front of you as you curl your spine, opening up the back of your heart. Just allowing yourself to rest in this pose. Reconnecting with our breath here. Letting our knees relax and fall closer towards the mat. Continuing those long drawn out breaths here. And on your next inhale, now lift your head. Begin walking your hands back towards your hips, stacking your shoulders over your hips, bringing the hands on the outside of your knees as you bring them back together. And then we're going to roll onto our back. So maybe you're holding on to the backs of your thighs as you slowly, with one vertebrae, sending your back down onto the mat here. And let's bring your knees in towards your chest. Really drawing your knees in, keeping your shoulders on the mat. Like squeezing your knees or your shins, whatever you're holding on to, towards your chest here. Then releasing, bringing your feet down onto the mat. We're going to prepare for our bridge pose. So your feet are hips width distance, so your knees aren't necessarily touching here. You're still keeping integrity in that posture. And then go ahead and start walking your heels closer towards your hips. If you can brush your heels with your fingertips, which are your hands are alongside of you, palms on the mat, and that's close enough. You don't need to bring them any closer. Pressing your hands into the mat here, you're going to begin lifting your hips up off the mat. So maybe your shoulders are all that's on the mat now. You've lifted your spine off. Being mindful of your knees here, so you're still drawing them together. Keeping your core engaged. Maybe you're able to inhale your hips a little bit higher. Coming onto your toes if that feels good. And then exhale, slowly rolling one vertebrae at a time back down onto the mat until your hips make it. And then your heels. And you can stay here, or maybe it feels good to do that one more time. So if you want to, you can inhale those hips back up, pressing those palms into the mat next to you pressing your palms into the mat. Keeping those knees towards each other. You're still engaging your thighs here. You're engaging your glutes. Slowly inhaling as you lift your hips a little bit higher. Lifting with your heart as well. Coming up onto your toes. And then exhale, slowly release one vertebrae at a time back onto the mat. Picking up your feet, squeezing those knees in towards your chest. Maybe it feels good to draw circles with your knees here. Really feeling kind of like a little massage on your hips and your low back. And if you are doing circles, you're reversing, going the opposite direction. And then bringing your knees back in towards your chest. And then you're going to bring your hands out in a T next to you. Bottoms of, or your palms are on the mat or the ground next to you. And with your knees in towards the center, we're going to exhale, send those knees over towards the right. So you're rolling onto that right hip. Your left hip is off the mat here. And your left shoulder is staying on the mat. This is where you can use a pillow or something underneath your knees as well if they're not coming towards the ground so that they're not hovering. Because the focus here really is the twist of our spine. So you can bring your gaze over that left shoulder, so the opposite way that your knees are going for that full rotation. But it's okay if your knees aren't together anymore. Maybe it feels good to kind of separate them here so they're able to rest in this pose. You're continuing to breathe here in this twist. Really allowing yourself to wring out all of the things that no longer serve us. Maybe it's worry, self-doubt, pride, making space for learning, for love. Now on your next inhale, bringing your head back to center, bringing your knees back to center. Maybe doing a gentle little hip massage here, rolling our knees. And then on your exhale, sending your knees over towards the left. Maybe it feels good to use your left hand as a weight on your knees, a gentle weight. And your right shoulder is staying on the mat. And go ahead and draw your gaze over that right shoulder for that full rotation here. That feels good. If you feel any tension in your neck, you can move your head back to center or even over towards the left. We always do the same things on both sides for that balance. It's important to have that balance, really in everything. So here we're still wringing out the stuff that doesn't serve us, the things we no longer need. The things that don't bring joy or change, positivity. Maybe you're finding your right shoulder melting more into the mat as you sink into this pose. And on your next inhale, rolling back, your head back to center. Inhaling your knees back to center. Really wrapping your arms around your shins of your knees, pulling them in towards your chest, lifting your head up, squeezing yourself into a ball. Hug yourself because you love yourself. Maybe rocking side to side here for a back massage. Gently and slowly. Inhaling, squeezing yourself even tighter. Then on your exhale, you're sending your arms out in every direction. and your legs for our final Shavasana, our final resting pose. The reward that we get for working so hard during this practice, the mental reward that we get, focusing on our breath and allowing our brain space to relax. You're allowing your shoulders to melt into the mat here, the tops of your hands to rest. Or maybe it feels good bringing your left hand to your solar plexus, the space above your belly button, and your right hand to your heart, but allowing those elbows to rest beside you. If you feel any tension in your low back here, you can bend your knees, bring the bottoms of your feet to the mat, kind of like we were before our bridge pose, or maybe the bottoms of your feet to touch for our butterfly or our cobbler's pose. Just really allowing yourself to feel comfortable, doing whatever you need to do to relax in this space and to feel safe in this space. Your breath is steady, and we're still practicing those long, drawn out inhales and exhales. We're staying present here. We allow our hips to melt into the mat. We relax our jaw, relaxing our brow. Just reflecting on our practice here. Are you impressed with yourself? Did you do something that you had never done before? Maybe you noticed something in your body that you hadn't noticed before. Maybe you were able to focus on your breath and not be distracted. You're going to begin deepening your inhales and your exhales. Bringing movement back into your toes, into your fingertips maybe. Gently rolling your head from side to side. We come back to our physical body here. Whenever you're ready, you're going to bend your knees, rolling onto your right side, cradling your head with your right bicep as we come into our rebirth, our fetal position, acknowledging the changes in ourselves from when we began this practice to where we are now. Allowing that body scan again to those parts of us that needed extra attention to get them. For the parts of us that needed a break, where they awarded those breaks. And whenever you're ready, you can press through that left hand, coming back into our easy seated pose in which we began. Maybe keeping our eyes closed or our gaze shifted down. Bringing your hands onto your knees. Coming back into the space where we started. Revisiting our intention that we may have set, or setting one now. It's never too late. It's never too late in your yoga practice to set that intention, to be mindful of something. It's okay if your intention changes. Just like throughout your day, maybe things aren't going the way that they had planned, that you had planned, the way that you wanted it to go. You don't have to wait for tomorrow to start over new. You can decide to make that shift right then. It's never too late to change that intention or to make that intention. Let's exhale wherever you are. Inhale together through our nose. Exhale through our mouth. Bring your palms together, pressing your thumbs into our sternum, our heart center. Thank you for doing this for yourself today, for showing up for yourself, for sharing this space with me. Hope that you carry your intention with you throughout the day, throughout the next few days. Just keeping in mind whatever you need and giving yourself that grace. You may now bow forward to seal your practice. Thank you so much for joining me today, and joining Pope, my cat, who seemed to enjoy most of this practice. I hope you enjoyed it as much as he did. If you haven't checked out our other videos, please do so, and we plan to upload a new video every week. If you have any questions or recommendations, please leave them in the comments. And there's also a phone number at the end of this video to reach out to Hope Harbor.